Welcome everybody. It's slightly unusual this week because I haven't got a microphone, so it might sound a little bit funny, but I'm in my agent's house, and the reason is that I forgot we were doing this. And I was having a medical this morning, and Des had sent a message. It must have been 1 o'clock in the morning for you.
It was 2 a.m. actually in the morning.
2 a.m. in the morning, sending a message saying what time we meet, and I was going, I'm just about to give a wee sample in a medical.
Well, actually, you said, I thought we had one in the can, and I was like,
did.
yeah, we used that already. It's been
did.
you couldn't even fathom that it's been nearly 2 weeks since we talked the last time. It's been 12 days since we recorded.
And you know what I think it was? It's because I phoned you up last week. It's because we had a conversation last week anyway. And
we reached the quota.
Thinking,
we wasted a phone conversation and didn't record it. What were we thinking?
Yeah. So in my head, I'm thinking, well, I've spoke to him. I've had a chat this week.
Well, I'm sure Bradley's pissed off because Bradley literally, he called us out when neither of us responded to his message last week where he said, actually, I'm not going to be available until Wednesday morning, but we can record and I'll edit it fast and have it out by Wednesday evening. And then when we didn't respond, he was like, hello? And then I was like, yes, sorry, I saw it. And that's good for me. And I think you responded too, but
Anyway, we made it. And part of the other confusion is that Bradley had the cheek to have a fucking week off.
Never again.
Second time since we started the podcast.
That's just for the record. The congregation are going to think
that's what
all
they like.
Do is go
what are they like?
The Americans in the congregation will be like, this is so European. Vacation.
Yeah. Just taking time to himself, catching up with himself in this bar.
It's my last one. It was fabulous. I enjoyed it very much. I feel like I switched off more than I've switched off in ages, and then came home to the barrage of text messages.
Yeah.
I went to
turned your phone. I said, "Brad, what are we doing?"
Brad, John forgot your microphone, Brad.
Where did you go?
I went to Gran Canaria, where I go all the time, but not because it's gay.
So you go there not because it's gay?
Do you go for your not gay fix?
I go to be straight for a week. And
because it's so gay that you feel like, wow, I'm actually not as gay as I thought. Is that what you're saying? Is that
this is actually too gay. But we booked it without knowing that it was Pride that week, so it was extra gay, and we didn't partake in any of the Pride festivities. We just stayed in our hotel, which is very homophobic. Yeah,
just very not getting involved.
I'm not getting involved.
Did you? What time did you fly back last night?
I landed at 2.
From where?
From Gran Canaria.
To
Liverpool. To Liverpool.
I think my sister might have been on the same flight.
Really?
I think so.
I wasn't recognised her.
Cathy.
Yeah, I think I was recognised her, wouldn't I?
Yeah, or maybe she wasn't. I know she got back late from there last night. Anyway, last night, Des was recording a special at the Comedy Cellar.
I recorded the special twice last night. Second show starts at 10 o'clock, which you know because you did it yourself.
Yeah.
Which it went very well. Sister Bridget was at the early show. I didn't see her, but she posted about it.
Oh, was
she? Yeah.
Bridget from our congregation, Bridget.
Yeah, and Sister Mia. You know, I mentioned Mia before. She's a Liverpool fan, but Sister Mia was there too. One of the youngest members of the congregation, I have to point out. Still, I think she's only 24. But anyway, it went great. But, you know, I didn't get home till 1:30. And then I was like messaging you at 2 a.m. just trying to get to sleep, knowing that we were recording in the morning. So I am pretty brain dead. But it was great. Glad to get it done. And,
I was going to say, how was it in terms of getting it done? And you know, just talk us through. Did you have John Lasseter opening? Did you?
So I don't know if this is interesting, but so I asked John Lasseter weeks ago, right? Because I had recommended him to you, and it was great. And I like having John open. So then it was all organized. And I was in the cap. So a lot of people hang out in this cafe above the Comedy Cellar before, shows, right? So great. I'm having like the most inappropriate conversation with like 4 black comics about the Diddy trial, right? And it's so funny. I'm not sharing any of it, okay? But it's like very inappropriate, but it was very distracting for me, which was great because I was nervous and uptight about recording the special. And the whole time, John is at the table next to me, but I see that he's hosting the Comedy Cellar. He's actually hosting the 7:30 show, and he's supposed to open for me at 8. So finally, at like 20 to 8, I bite the bullet, and I because I was almost like I was procrastinating finding out the truth that he's been double booked. So at 20 to 8, I say, John, are you going to be able to jump around the corner? And he was like, oh shit, man. He's like, he hasn't completely forgotten, and that the Comedy Cellar in their organizing forgot that John was supposed to open for me. So I had to scramble and get a host for my special taping at like 7:45. But I got Matt Richards, who was amazing.
He's great.
And coincidentally enough, his mother used to work for P. Diddy. But anyway, that's just a funny aside. I'm not even kidding. She worked for Bad Boy Records for a long time. And
Wow.
It went, the special went great. Couldn't have gone better. And I mean, I don't have much to.
How quickly will you turn it round?
I won't turn around quick like you. You know,
Yeah.
I'll probably wait till the autumn. I feel like the autumn will be a better time to.
Yeah.
But
No,
but
I'm
if
gonna stick. I'm gonna stick mine out this weekend.
I know the
one
lads
that
were
I
telling
did
me.
a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stick mine up in September. But if there's a couple of bits that are not going to go in the special, I'll post them as clips in the meantime. But can I just say a very funny story about me and Brad were chatting before the pod, and he was saying, oh, you know, the Diddy trial we should talk about. I was like, well, I mean, it's a very interesting subject, but I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about in the podcast. And I said, oh, I was just joking about it last night with all the black comics. And then I asked him, I said, what's the Liverpool equivalent of baby oil? But he said it's just baby oil.
Yeah.
But I guess
You know
it's
that-
milliliters rather than ounces. I guess that's the only difference.
I mean, that is a mad thing, and they found thousands of bottles or something.
Lot of baby oil, man. But anyway, listen,
And
we're
no
not
babies.
we're not going to talk about it. But the things I was learning last night about listen, I just recommend to the congregation.
What do you recommend? Just to hang out with 4 black comedians and you learn a lot about it.
Well, because you know what? They're really on it. Everybody's kind of on that trial, but they're really on it. Cause like, you got to understand, if you're a black comic in your 40s, like, you know, he's been like an integral part of your life culturally. Yeah. You know, you can't escape the influence that this guy has had and the people that he's been involved with. So the fall of an icon, but just honestly, the debauchery that is coming out in this trial, it's actually unfathomable, but it clearly happened. But we don't have to get into the details, but I highly recommend people read the details because you will be shocked. But it's not for the faint of heart. That's all I could say. It's like, honestly, I paid attention to a little bit of the first day of the trial. Cassie, his ex-girlfriend, is testifying. But when the lads were saying some of the things that she was saying, I mean, listen, I don't know how gay Gran Canaria was, but this was beyond. This is next level, man.
There's no one in Gran Canaria doing this. They never even thought of it, even with a canary.
Anyway, man, I'm not even making. I don't want to make light of it. I'm just saying.
It's a serious matter. So let's get off it.
But anyway, so that was last night, and now it's done. Now I can start putting back weight again.
Yeah. Get off the pills again. Oh, you're not on the injections.
I'm off the fat shot. I mean, listen, you know I'm very critical of Trump, but sometimes he can be actually funny. Can we admit one thing? So did you see this like embarrassing speech he made about lowering prescription drug prices? Which of course, if he could actually pull off the lowering prescription drug prices, I'd be all for it. But like most of the stuff since he's become president, he just says amazing shit and then nothing happens, right? So I apologize. The church bells. See, that's what happens when you talk about Diddy for 5 minutes.
Exactly, yeah.
Can you hear the church bells?
Yeah. You need to cleanse your soul.
So, the Pope Leo has spoken.
Yeah, Pope Leo's it.
American Pope, the bells are ringing. So anyway, what was I talking about?
The medication.
Oh yeah,
the medication.
So Trump is making his speech about lowering the price. He goes,
before you say that, explain the way it works. Because over here, there's a fixed price per item. So it doesn't matter what the medicine is. If you pay for your prescriptions, you pay a fixed price. I can't know, £10 or something like that. So, but in the States, you're buying the drug, aren't you?
Yeah, but the States is just like, the States is so complicated because it depends on your insurance. And honestly, it's just, how many years now have I been, because listen, I went back to Ireland to get my ACL fixed because it's just, it's not even, I have health insurance and I could have got it done here, but it's just so complicated and so not straightforward. It's not just about the money here with the health, obviously, it's a scam and the health insurance stuff is insanely expensive and you can get screwed. But on top of that, I'm not dismissing that, but on top of that, it's also so complicated to the point where I'm a pretty intelligent guy. I've gotten through life with, my intellect holding up in most challenges. I cannot figure out the admin around the health service. And you often have to fight so hard not to pay bills. And it's literally like they're just hoping that you don't push back and that you just get lazy and you just pay it. And then eventually, if you push back, they're like, oh, sorry, yeah, we didn't realize that. And then it's like 80% less, right? Yeah. But unless you've dealt with all this, probably what I'm saying right now sounds like gobbledygook, but it's so insanely complicated. So when it comes to prescription pricing, it's like sometimes it's covered, sometimes it isn't. And it's crazy, okay? So that's a very boring synopsis. So anyway, Trump goes, he's making a speech about lowering pharmaceuticals, and he goes, I have a very rich friend. Did you see the speech?
No. I've seen very little news this last weekend.
Because you were worried about your pee. You were worried about peeing in a cup.
No, I just spent the weekend with my dad. I'll explain in a bit. I've had my dad staying at our house for a week. It's been great.
So anyway, he goes, a quick version. I had a very rich friend, very like a billionaire, super rich, super smart, very fat, and he takes the fat shot. He goes like that. He goes, he takes the fat shot, right? And then he goes like this. He goes, I told him it's not working. By the way, he said this in a public speech. This is a public speech. I think he was actually in Saudi Arabia, right? And in a public speech, he's like, he takes the fat shot. I told him it's not working. You got, even how much you hate Trump is irrelevant. You have to admit that's funny, especially the context of like a public speech about a new policy about lowering prescription drugs. And so I gotta hand it to him. But anyway,
that's the thing. Actually, I did hear something on the news yesterday, and I'd be interested to see how it's reported over there. I think it's I'm trying to remember which country it is that he's visiting. They're giving him a jet.
Oh, that's Qatar.
Yeah.
Are we saying Qatar or are we saying Qatar? Qatar.
No, I'm saying the word. It is Qatar. Can't say Qatar.
What's the actual pronunciation? Google
Qatar. It. Have you got to Google Qatar?
I thought it was Qatar all my life too, but then during the World Cup, a lot of people were saying Qatar, and I was like, which is it?
He was saying that during the World Cup.
Just have a look and see what's the actual pronunciation.
Anyway,
I'm just curious.
So it got mentioned on the BBC the other day that he's getting a $400 million jet.
Yeah, that's humongous news. It wasn't just a mention on the BBC. It's like the biggest story of the week here.
Now, but is it going to him?
So he's trying to make it sound like why would I not take it? They're giving it to us, right? But the thing is that it's a gift to Trump to use while he's president, and then it will go to his presidential library, so he will get to keep it afterwards.
Right? And he's put a jet in the library.
So make sure to stay tuned to the chat.
Sorry, guys. I thought that was going to be the Qatar enunciation.
So how do you say it? Well, officially in Arabic, it is to be said Qatar. Qatar. Easy, right?
Qatar.
In English, it is generally accepted that it is said as Qatar. Qatar.
But it's Qatar. It's Qatar. Everybody knows it's Qatar.
Brad, will you want some sex line then? Who's that fella?
Guys that get off.
How gentle was that fella's voice then?
It's called
okay. Now
correct pronunciation masturbation. It's a fetish.
Yeah, look, I've just found all of this baby oil. A friend of mine has found all
We
of
lost
this baby.
Brad too. Right when we're making fun of him, we lost him. He's gone. He's gone, everybody. So anyway,
So how's it being reported over there?
well, look, so no, the presidential library, it's not like, it doesn't go into I mean, who would be dumb enough to buy a plane to just sit around and do nothing?
Yeah. So what I mean is
You.
It was
But
getting
anyway,
reported. It was getting reported.
he didn't even get it. He didn't get it.
That's what it was. I
No,
think
oh,
that
yeah,
was shade.
sorry,
I think
yeah,
that was
sorry.
subtle shade.
I know that was terrible. That because
No,
at least he's getting a full plane.
So anyway, listen, I mean, anybody with a rational mind knows that, like, this is corruption in plain sight, right? Obviously, the MAGA people are not saying that. They're saying, well, why would you not take a 400 million plane? Boeing is taking too long to make new Air Force Ones. So now we're getting this one, which honestly, I would not have a problem with if he said, it's going to stay with the American government and be used for future presidents until it goes to the eBay purchase when it's decommissioned. Right?
I'll have a bit of it.
But you'll have the nose.
I'll have the nose.
But the thing is that it's going to his presidential library. But the thing is that this is the thing with Trump. I'm not just going to Trump bash, but like, he can do whatever he wants because his followers will just consistently ignore the hypocrisy. And this is corruption in plain sight. By the way, they're not like, don't you remember all the controversy around the World Cup?
Listen, they're not good. What I mean is like, it's supposed to be doing trade deals and stuff. If you just convert it into, take the wings off it and put it as cash in a bag, you can't. That just doesn't seem.
It's a
right.
bribe.
That someone comes up and goes, "There's a load of money."
It's a bribe. This whole trip to the Middle East, it's like, it's disgusting. The corruption in plain sight. His sons just made a deal a couple of weeks before he got there. Then he gets offered a plane. He doesn't care because he knows he's getting away with it, from the crypto to the plane to, the deals that his kids are getting. They just put a thing up in Vietnam. It's so clear, but it's fine. The MAGAs will eventually see it. I just don't know how long after the fact. All the list. And by the way, I think all politicians are corrupt. I think that the power that comes from particularly American politics, it's very corrupting. And I know that there are levels of corruption throughout the whole part of the system. I'm not saying that's not the case, but the impunity, of which Trump is just pursuing all this stuff is bonkers because he has no brakes. It's just full steam ahead, corruption in plain sight. And he's watch, you'll see now that when we finish the pod, you can listen to all his speeches like, why would you not take it? I mean, what are you, I'm stupid. I'm not going to take it. No concept of how it's perceived by people, the conflicts of interest, just the list goes on and on.
There was a guy, Sebastian Gorka, who's a spokesman, apparently, works for Trump. I think that was his name. Who was getting interviewed on the BBC yesterday. The most objectionable person I've ever heard. He was cutting the woman off, and every time the presenter off, and every time she was saying things like, "What's he going to do about Gaza?" Ask me a proper question. That's not a proper question.
That's the way it is.
Well, that's a question. And no, it's not. She said, "Well, but what about the fact that aid hasn't been going through? Fake news. There's more food in Gaza than they could possibly eat." And she went, "Well, that's not true. That's fake news." And then she said about the jet. $400 million, yes. Anyway, he saved the taxpayer $400 million.
Which, by the way, is not true because it's going to take a ton of money to actually make it usable, and it's going to take like 2 years to make it usable. The whole thing, it's a debacle. But anyway, that's our serious section.
I was going to say, this has been a fun podcast, hasn't it?
No, I mean, but that come on, that's a big story. Bradley had a fun topic to talk about.
Oh, what is that?
Bradley?
Oh, the Ollie Mays one.
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying about. Did you see the controversy around Ollie Mays' body transformation?
What about it?
So he has gone from having like a perfectly fine normal body to having like a more snatched version of it.
Yeah.
And loads of females on the internet were saying that they preferred him in the first photo, when he was more like dad bod vibes. And there was loads of controversy about it, and people were like, why are we talking about this man's body? Like, he should be able to do what he wants to do. And I was thinking it might be interesting for you guys to discuss, because you guys are males in the public eye.
Well, no, I've been in touch with Ollie.
About it?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And then he sent me his training regime.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. Sunday, light outdoor run. Monday, strength and conditioning for an hour and 30 minutes. Tuesday, CrossFit class for an hour. Wednesday, boxing for an hour. Thursday, rest day. Friday, strength and conditioning for an hour and 30 minutes. And Saturday, boxing for an hour.
How old is he, though? How old is he?
Ollie's got to be 40, I think. Below 40.
Yeah. Honestly, like up until I was 45, that was me. Training all the time, obsessed with fitness. But
yeah, he's into fitness. And this picture that was posted was dramatic. But the first picture was taken, I think, on January the 1st, so it was after Christmas, and he was as fat as he's ever going to be, which is the best time to ever take a photograph, and then he's just trimmed down for this tour.
Yeah.
And by the way, he puts on a fucking full-on show.
The controversy is that people preferred the first picture.
Oh, the controversy is they prefer like cute dad bod.
People want him to wish that he'd stayed chunkier and.
Yeah, let me tell you who that is. People that are challenged by the fact that he put the work in and got ripped.
Listen,
John?
I'm gonna tell you something now. This actually happened this morning. So every year, me and Melanie have this medical every year, proper medical exercise test, all that stuff, weight, height, and scans, and all that stuff. And it's because Melanie's parents both got sneaky cancers that came out of nowhere, so she's become obsessed with it. So every year we do it. And we go to the same doctor. This only happened this morning. Dr. Maltz is called. We went to see Dr. Maltz. And Melanie went about a month ago. And he sits me down and he starts taking me blood pressure. And he's taken some bloods. And he said it was good to see Melanie. I said, yeah. He said, she's looking really fit. He said, every year she gets fitter and fitter and strong. I said, yeah, she's good. He said, have you thought about Ozempic?
Have you heard about the fat shot?
He's literally taking the blood off my arm when he said it. For fuck's sake.
He said, I did, but I shamed the hell out of my friend.
He said, no,
about
I
him
saw what it
taking
did to
Manjaro."
Des. I saw how it affected Des. No,
Hey,
honestly.
me and Ollie Morris now look the same.
He said, I'm just saying it's a little help, innit? It's all just a little help.
Yeah, it's just a little help, man. They're like crack dealers.
I said,
hey,
if you see it, Ollie Mays, you see it, Ollie, that's what I'm going to be. This is me dad picture. You wait till the next one. Till after summer. I was telling him that I'm going to spend the summer training and I'm going to get fit. And then he said,
Hey, John, I got a little secret for you.
What?
You could take it, not tell anybody, and then tell everybody about your strict regime. A lot of people doing that, too.
Yeah, I'll be sending that message out.
I get by a little help from my friends. I get by a little help from my friends. It's
I've just
okay.
been working hard, that's all, yeah. And my teeth suddenly just got whiter. And all the lines of my forehead just disappeared.
Yeah, but this is the problem with fucking... You know, I chipped my teeth playing rugby when I was 18, and I got initially I got however you fixed your teeth back in the mid-90s. And then I was in Sydney, whatever, 6 years ago maybe. And I was doing a handstand for exercise, coincidentally enough, and the goddamn cover came off my tooth. I had a fucking chipped tooth. And I show that night, I crazy glued, super glued my fucking thing back on. It held.
What was it, fucking balsa wood? How can you?
No, it's like whatever it's made of.
Yeah.
I crazy glued it on. It worked. It held for the show, right? But then these are like now I got veneers that, but like the modern version of veneers, and they look good, but they aren't that little bit big. And this is the problem when you do anything cosmetically, they're a little bit bigger, and therefore my upper lip, which is already small, now looks even smaller. So now I feel like I got a Kendall Jenner my lips. I gotta get collagen in my lips, and then I think I'll look really good.
Yeah, you're on a slippery slope. You
No, I was just-
are on a slippery slope.
No, but it is funny though with the teeth though. It's like when you get the veneers and they're a little bit bigger. Like sometimes I watch myself and I think there's a lot of teeth there now.
I know. It was funny. There's a lad. Melanie gets these fellas who come round to shoe the horses. Oh, the name's just gone out my head. What's the name of the job? Farrier.
Yes.
Farrier. Have you seen these farriers? Oh, mate, they are the proper men, because they come round and they have like an oven in the back and they make horseshoes in the back of the van and it's all hot and they shave the hooves of the horses and stick them on all over. And the normal farrier was away, so a new lad came round. And she said, I've got to go out, the farrier's here. I said, I'll come down and say hello. Came down to say hello. So there's a fella bent over. It looks like a job from the Victorian times. It's like nothing's changed. You've got to be a man. You've got to pick the hoof up. You've got to bend the metal. And he's doing this horse. And I came around and said, all right, man. All right. He had the most perfect Turkish teeth in the world. His teeth were so white. I went, fucking hell. It was like one of the Osmonds was doing the horses. It was unbelievable. And it's like that bit where you go, that doesn't fit the job it should be doing. It's so out of context.
What was his hairline like?
Oh, everything else about him looked great. The teeth. I said, what the fuck are they? He said, the new. He said, I'm treating myself. He said, all my mates are taking the piss. He said, but I'm doing it.
But anyway, I think, Bradley, what you wanted to get at is, like, we're not going to try to compare the body image pressure that women deal with. But I think one thing is not controversial to say that body image pressure on men has increased in recent times, and particularly for young men.
Well, here's a question. For a man who fancies men, is the idea that this honed body that's presented as the ultimate male body that women are supposed to fancy, is that what men fancy in men?
I don't think that's universal, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not universal, I know, but it's just a question, and because there's a recognition within that community of different body types still being attractive.
Yeah,
and I think that's
true,
a good
actually.
thing. Whereas within the straight community, there's like one ultimate body type that women are supposed to like, and then everything else is a bit of a failure.
That's such a good point. You don't generally hear of women saying, "Oh, I'm into like fat men."
I'm into fat, hairy men called bears.
But
gay
honestly,
men would say that.
I do hear a lot of women say that they actually don't like men that are like overly snatched. They find it unattractive because it kind of shows like evidence of like self-obsession and narcissism and being overly concerned with your image. Like, I don't think women, not all, listen, these are all sweeping generalizations, but I don't think a woman wants to be with somebody who cares about their image more than they do.
That's a question for the congregation. The question is like,
send it in from the congregation.
Just send it in. Like, is the a young men or men in general overtraining to achieve something that you actually don't want them to look like anyway?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think the body image stuff has definitely increased for men. Like, I have that joke I have about, like, you know, I do a joke about privilege and I say, like, oh, I'm a straight white guy, I acknowledge my privilege. And then I keep adding on to him, like, I'm not just a straight white guy, I'm the worst type of straight white guy, a good looking straight white guy, right? So that bit did well online, but it's very funny, even though it is mostly men, but it's mostly men go in the comments going, who told this guy he was good looking? But I think it's funny because the internet and women, it's really more of a problem for women, but I've noticed it even myself. People love body shaming, not just like fat shaming. They love pointing out your flaws to be horrible online. But as a result, it does increase people's awareness of it makes you self-conscious about your face, your body. And I think that in general, but particularly it's a problem for young men, is they feel more body image pressure. And even down to the Ollie Muir's examples where this all started, is that people love having an opinion on how you look. Now, obviously he's put it out there and said, look how I look now. But then everyone's, chiming in, and like, it's not really healthy to be everyone judging how you look. It's not ideal. And it used to never really be a thing for men, and now it is. It's been a thing for women since the dawn of media.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those things. So if you get, like what he's done, if you get fitter and stronger, you'll look fitter and stronger. That's why he's done it. He's going on a big physical tour that you have to have energy for. And as a result, he's ended up committing to that training regime at a point in his life when he can. There's nothing. I don't think that. I'm surprised that it's created such a state, to be honest with you.
All right, here's the big body image question, Brad. And this is a generational difference thing. Are you waxing? Are you making yourself smoother?
Yes.
See, this is the norm, right? So, but it is more normal these days for, like, what are they? Manscaping is normal. There's even a company in the States called Manscaping, which is selling products for grooming, male grooming.
How many products are there? A pair of scissors. That's you done.
No, they
can't get a whole frigging product range around it, can you?
Yeah,
different coloured scissors.
No, they have shaver. They have different buzzers, and then they have different oils and
baby oil. I know where someone's got a lot of that to shift.
It's on sale in Brooklyn.
That's his defence. I'm so bushy. I needed gallons of it to manscape.
But it's crazy though. That is a change, right? So that's like a body image change. I never, even in the era where suddenly it was more normal for women to trim it all, right? I never felt like pressure to, trim that shit. But I think most younger men, they feel like they're supposed to keep that all trimmed up. No, I don't know why you're so uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it makes sense. I remember doing some stand-up about it, saying it makes sense. It makes sense, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Have a little trim. It make your willy look bigger. It's like your perspective.
I'll tell you what makes your willy feel bigger is not calling it a willy. That's definitely one way to give you a little more confidence that you have a robust appendage, is to not call it a willy. But hey, let me tell you something else. So,
giving it the name of a pet tortoise, isn't it?
But the reason why I have a joke in my show about, I'm making a comparison between the Irish Americans and the Italian Americans, and one of the jokes is that the Irish kids couldn't compete with the Italians at puberty age because they hit puberty so early. So I talk about how they got pubes really young, and I got pubes really late. Like, I didn't get pubes till I was like 14, 15, and it was like embarrassing, I was like, how the fuck have I not got pubes yet? So I have all I'm not going to do all the jokes, but I have all these jokes about waiting for pubes, and like when I was 13, I had new underwear on. When I took off the underwear, I looked down, I was like, finally, thank you, Lord, a pube. And then it was just lint fluff from the new underwear. When I rubbed it, it was gone. But one of the jokes I've been doing in the show, because friends of mine that have teenage boys, they're telling me these motherfuckers they're fucking leaving pubes all over the shower because they're shaving their fucking pubes in the shower, right? So I was saying,
to go in with less.
Bro,
yeah, man.
They're trimming it, man. It's the norm. It's the absolute norm.
I know. You two would never trim at all. Oh, the balloons.
Brad, you got to put your image. You got to put your image on that one. For those that are just listening, Bradley, for some reason, said, "Do you ever trim at all?" And then a load of balloons came up,
What was all that about?
I don't know.
What the-
I think I did like a hand gesture that made it happen.
You did a hand gesture and the balloons came up. It was a
Have you
gender.
done
It
that?
was
Have
a
you done
gender
that?
reveal.
Have you done that on WhatsApp?
Yeah. No.
On WhatsApp? Oh no, you do a video call on WhatsApp and put 2 thumbs up and hold it for about 20 seconds. Fireworks go off behind you. There's a little thing that we can share with people for free. But
anyway-
we've still no idea why the Blues came up whilst Brad was talking about pubes.
But the reason why it's fresh in my head is because I added in a new joke where I say, I found out that my friend's kids are shaving their pubes. I was like, how dare you? You have no idea the pain I went through waiting for these things to come. Are you telling me if I was a teenager today, I would have been the lucky one? My friends would have been like, you're so lucky you don't have to shave your pubes.
You know that,
But
we're
anyway,
all trying to look 12.
But this sounds like a flippant thing to just make jokes, but it's relevant to the conversation, which is, again, I feel like that also comes from new body image pressure. And you can argue where all this, like, essentially baldness on your body and smoothness on your chest and men waxing their back and all that. You can argue where that comes from, what part of the internet. But there's definitely an increase in body image issues.
All right, let me just say the big thing that's happened to me this week. So my dad came down, stayed with us for a week, which was great. Went back to watch the Liverpool match. Went with my dad, Daniel, my son, and one of his mates, Mason. And Liverpool got a player called Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's leaving Liverpool to go and sign for Real Madrid. Played with Liverpool since he was 6. So he's been there for 20 years. And he's leaving on a free transfer, which means his contract ran out. But he's won everything with the club. And he was substitute at the game against Arsenal at the weekend. And he came on, and the big news over there is he came on and he got booed. Because some supporters are unhappy with him leaving. And to me, as a Liverpool supporter, it was so annoying that anyone would do that. So my question is, when somebody, how, as a supporter, should you ever boo anyone out of your own team if they're doing something that you don't like?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the booing, except I think it's fun booing when, like, a legend of your club goes to another team, and when they come back, you give them a cheer at the beginning of the game to be like, you were a legend of the club. But then during the match, every time they touch the ball, you boo the fuck out of them. But that's like tongue in cheek.
But I think anyone should leave, particularly if they've won everything possible.
No, listen, people leave.
It's not the supporters' place to argue over contract negotiations. The lad wants to go, let him go, and wish him well, and clap him as he leaves the door.
No, the booing in that situation is diabolical. Listen, I'll tell you when I think it's okay to boo, just in terms of, like, sending a message. I think on a run of bad form, after a particularly bad performance, at the very end of the match, I think it's okay to boo, to let them know this is not good enough. But to the team, not to a player. Because I think it's okay to express your dissatisfaction.
But it's funny, I don't think American sports have that level of parties.
They do. It actually does, John. And I'll tell you where it's been quite bad. So I'll give you an example. In baseball, the New York Mets signed Juan Soto for a record-breaking contract of $785 million for 15 years. And he had actually a pretty decent start, but by his standards, like, underwhelming. And after a very short amount of time, after one or two situations where it was a high leverage clutch situation and he didn't produce, he already got booed by the Met fans.
What's that mean? Sorry, high level. It's
because baseball is like a situation where, say, late in the game, maybe there's like 2 guys on base, there's 2 outs, you need a hit. This is a moment where we pay you the big bucks to come through in that situation, and the football equivalent would be,
taking a penalty.
Or he missed a sitter, So he didn't produce, which is, it's very easy to not produce because baseball is a very difficult sport. It's a fucking very narrow bat trying to hit a ball coming at you at 97 miles an hour, right? So it's not actually, like, a very good batting average in baseball is over 300, which means that, nearly 70% of the time, you're not fucking hitting the ball. So he's basically just following his average. Anyway, he got booed. And that pissed me off because I'm like, to give the guy a chance. He's going to be here for 15 years. So actually, I think it's universal across all sports. And I think it's gotten worse because of the internet. And you know what they say has made it a lot worse is sports betting.
Yeah,
because sports betting
it matters to you.
Yeah, because people get so angry, and that's why people have been getting, people get threats. Like these sports people online, they get threats because these guys are like, yeah, if you'd scored, and if you didn't miss that goal, I would have made £500. So I think it's across the board. The booing, I hate the booing, but listen, man, the people that are booing are the same people that are talking shit on the internet.
Yeah, bell ends.
Because I used to have the joke about when I'd like make comments about my brother's parenting, me with no kids, telling my brother. Yeah. So I used to say, like a fat prick on the couch saying Wayne Rooney shit. I'm telling my brother how to raise his kids. I've never done it myself. But there's a lot of that. And that's just part of it. I guess you got to just embrace that that's just part of the way that people, quote unquote, enjoy things these days. People love being miserable. Go on like a Liverpool Reddit, John. Go on Reddit. And go into don't put your name in your own name, but go on Reddit and go into like the Liverpool Reddit and just like watch all the moaning and just like people love being miserable about the thing that they love. It's just the way people enjoy things.
Yeah, it's called marriage, Des. So listen.
Take my wife.
Yeah, take my wife. I wish someone would. Right, I'm gonna shoot.
All right.
I'm glad we managed to do this. Bradley will pull something out of it, won't you?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. This is great. Yeah.
Next week we'll have proper microphones and proper.
Yeah. Listen, all be sorted next week. We'll have it in the diary, logged on, booked. Right? I've got to jump on something else, but I'm going to phone you later, Des.
All right.
To talk about the recording.
Well, thank you, congregation.
Do we need to ask them for anything? Are we ending on anything?
Yeah.
I think we're good. Just, subscribe. Leave comments
subscribe,
on Spotify.
Send us some voice notes.
Yeah, voice notes, like, subscribe, all that malarkey, and that comment about this body issue. That would be an interesting thing as well.
All right, thanks everybody.
Cool.
All right, take care. Catch you later, lads. Ta-ra.
Bye.